Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 281. Well, top of the week to you. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule, sharing a little bit with me. I hope that what I have to offer helps you move your photography forward, and if nothing else, puts a small smile on your face. I want to thank you folks for reaching out. It's you guys are really marvelous. Right now, things are, well, the world is just taking another step towards craziness. I think we all pull together. We can make things happen. That's kind of the heart of this podcast when it comes to our photography. So thanks for dropping by. Greatly appreciate it. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. Their inventory isn't growing because you guys have been so busy buying stuff. It's great to see the community so behind this, mom and pop store. They might be small, but they are big in service, and they are big in getting your gear to you and big discount. That 5%, you'll see it once you check out and your stuff has been shipped. You'll see that right back on the way you paid for it. So Bedford's Camera, thanks so much for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. Make sure you guys know you heard about them right here. I'm going to get right into this week's topic. What's in a title? I'm going to go way back in time. Way back in time. At this particular point in time, in the early 80s, if not before, Sharon was working on her major at Cal Poly SLO, her business degree, and I was out there taking pictures. I was doing some crazy stuff there on the central coast of California. Good times, good times. Well, Sharon was in one of her classes, and I don't remember exactly the exercise, the point of it. I just remember the outcome. She had been partnered up with another business major there in the class, and they both had to tell each other what they wanted to do and then kind of come up with a pseudo business plan or a name for the company or what we call today branding, which, as you know, I'm not a big fan of. But anyway, Sharon explained to her partner in this exercise what we were doing, and we were just starting out. We are as green as can be. And after Sharon explained that we work with wildlife, mostly endangered critters, trying to get photographs that hadn't been taken before and getting those stories out, working with biologists, her partner in this exercise said, "Oh, well, then you're a wildlife research photography." And Sharon goes, and she wrote that down, and she came home that night, and she said, "How about wildlife research photography for a company name?" And I'm like, "Oh, I like it. It encompasses all we do." At that point, I always wondered about titles. I had the biggest business cards printed here and there, and avoided that word professional even back then. Didn't want to be called a professional photographer for a lot of reasons. Still don't. But that has to do with, what's in a title. And it actually, this all came up to me this past week when got an email out of the blue with a photograph from a person who wanted to enter this photograph in a contest. And they had 3 questions. 1, did I like the photograph? 2, should they enter it in a contest? Lastly, what should they title the photograph? Well, to the first question, whether I like it or not, I'm not sure is really relevant. Number 2, should my opinion, be used to whether it should be entered in a contest? Yeah, that's not relevant at all. And lastly, Since I couldn't tell what the subject of the photograph was, one was kind of biased, two was kind of a slam dunk, and three, I had no title. But it did give me the inspiration for this week. Titles seem to be somewhere, have been engraved in the mantra of sharing photographs that the print needs a title. Now, title, don't get confused with a caption. Two different things. Title is, my favorite one, a cow in a snowstorm. And it's just a blank of white paper. I always have thought that was quite, in my own little weird sense of humor, always thought that was really, quite funny. There's a lot of them out there like that. That title for your photograph, there's a lot of importance put on it. That title given to you as photographer, there's a lot of importance put on that. What's in a title? Title can be, as far as I'm concerned, a two-edged sword. It can be a way of making something from nothing. And if it's a photograph, if it's nothing, then it maybe isn't one of those memories that should be shared with the entire world, just put on the refrigerator. And if it is something, then shouldn't it be self-explanatory without a title? If a photograph is worth 1,000 words, I don't see it saying 1,003 because 3 of them are the title. Perhaps that title should be just already obvious. Now, I've talked about many times, and I'm sorry, I'll probably talk about it many times further on, that knowing the subject is really essential in taking a photograph that's going to reach out and grab heartstrings. You've got to understand that subject, the story you want to tell about it, before you go click. So then the moment you go click, it's kind of the crescendo of the entire experience. You've already gone through everything, and the click is like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. Time to go share it. If you know that subject when you go click, then I think that desire to put a title to your photograph could wane, possibly could fade away. When you put your name on that business card, which could go underneath that print rather than a title, just to throw it out there, who's that business card going to be presented to? As in, are you giving it to your mom, your spouse? Are you at an art fair with all your prints up on easels? Are you sending it out randomly in the mail to people? Or are you going around the neighborhood, throwing them in mailboxes? Don't laugh. A lot of photographers actually do that to drum up new business. So what is the intent of that business card? And then that letterhead, that website, that you need to put a title underneath your name. If you're incredibly specialized in what you shoot, you could say, in my case, wildlife aviation photographer, or photography, rather than a E. My point is, we tend to, being humans, gravitate towards that title we have put in our mind, and that often stifles the entire creative process. Had an interesting title given to me by Patrick this week that kind of intrigued me, especially after I had already thought about this podcast. And he called me Photographic Philosopher. And that title, Photographic Philosopher, that could be as far as I'm concerned, thought of and incorporated into my photography in many ways. Photographic philosopher, my photographs, are they thought-provoking? Are those photographs leading you to a conclusion? Are the words that I write doing the same thing? And philosophy is, how is it affecting others as it reaches them via either the photograph or the written word or the combination? So that title, whether you put that title on that photograph, that title on yourself, I want to encourage you to, one, not use a title that is limiting, constraining, boxing in all possibilities. The flip side is use a title that taps the imagination, leaves the door open, leaves you many avenues in which to explore that passion that you put into your photographs. You got a picture of a rock. Now, you'd have to really, let's be honest, really screw up for take a picture of a rock and not have the viewer recognize it's a rock. They might not see it's big or small, whatever the case may be, but they know a rock. So then do you have to say a rock? Or a bird? Or a plane? Could that title have more romance to it, more mystery to it? Could you leave it in such a way that both you as a photographer want to explore that subject, that genre, in more depth? I was talking at current events right now, and if we were to look at, and there's some incredibly powerful photographs coming out of the Ukraine right now. You don't see, when they flash on the screen, be it your computer, television, what have you, you don't see a title that says someone suffering. You don't see a title saying death. You don't see a title that says victory. The photograph self-titles what is being depicted in those frames, in those pixels, in that moment. I think there's a lesson that we could all take from that and apply to our own photography and improve our photography in the process. Knowing that subject, coming back to that, I warned you I was going to come back to it. Knowing that subject isn't always obvious. Isn't always going to just present itself on a silver platter. So then you have a couple of options. One, you say, okay, I'm going to work this scenario. Or two, you say, I'm going to come back to that. Or three, you run away quickly. There's a lot of times, and I've mentioned before, Sharon and I are out exploring, and she goes, well, that's really pretty. And I say, it is. And I keep on going. And she goes, aren't you going to take a picture? And the answer is no. And that's because while Sharon and I are experiencing it, and it is pretty, it doesn't mean it makes a photograph. But I often see those kind of photographs with a title, and the title is as, kind of milquetoast as the photograph. We like to pigeonhole things. Try not to as a photographer. We like to pigeonhole, we're going to say, what's in a title of a portrait lens? What's in the title of a landscape lens? What's in the title of a wildlife lens? What's in the title of a sports lens? What's in the title of the best camera? What's in the title of the best f-stop? All those, when you answer that question with you instantly have now constrained your passion within that. And that's why I think we should look at what's in a title. And perhaps just that exploration might take us away from the cliche things that, the cow in a snowstorm kind of thing, and open up the barn doors and let the horses escape. Our imagination and passion move beyond and come back with better, stronger, more powerful images that as I keep trying to explain, can change the world. And there's a lot of things about this world we need to change. And I think all of you have inside of you the ability to do that. I want to encourage you to do that. So next time when you're putting that camera to your eye, you've got that image on the monitor, try ditching the title. And when you're trying to pigeonhole what you do as a photographer, perhaps ditch that title and just simply explore who you are. I think the rest of it kind of just works itself out. You guys have a great week. Thanks again for dropping by. Remember to make every click your story.